We will quickly ask some of you the instances where you are using AI to set the context and get into the conversation. So, any of you from different departments, if you can talk about the use of AI in your field of work.
Deepu, start.
So I'm using AI for a lot of things, right from contents to creativities to increase my productivity, excels. So I think I'm using AI everywhere, and I think it is my team member now. So I consider AI as a team member.
Uday?
So we are using AI in development and shipping products faster. Now we are also trying to integrate it for business use cases, where leaders can use AI and get the details, summary of everything that's happening across the company.
Anyone else like to add?
Shavik?
Mostly about deep research on client accounts, and also to get how the industry leaders or the leading IT managers are doing in terms of their propositions, their value capabilities, their messaging out into the market in the world of AI, and how do we position against them and ensure that we're competitive at par of the
Makes sense.
That really sets the context for us to dig deeper into this conversation that we planned. AI adoption is accelerating. Over 75% of enterprises are already deploying AI in some form, and generative AI has seen the fastest uptake of any modern enterprise technology. What began as simple tools for grammar correction has evolved into systems that generate narratives, power real-time personalization, and orchestrate complete workflows. AI has moved from task assistance to workflow intelligence, and with the rise of GPT-powered and agentic systems, machines are no longer just responding, they are thinking, acting, and delivering. The pace is relentless, the mandate is clear: stay informed, continuously upskill, and embed AI into the way we operate, or risk being left out. Today's fireside chat gives us a close look at this evolution, how the technology is advancing, how enterprises are adopting, and how we are leading as an AI-first engineering firm. Joining us are members of our executive leadership team, Rakesh Prasad, Shishir Saxena, Naresh Raj Gururaj. Over to you.
Thank you. I'll take the lead and then I'll let you guys come in, right? So I think the biggest thing that we all have to consider, think about, right, is the evolution of AI has gone from what Deepu was saying, a productivity enabler for individuals, to truly a change in the enterprise ecosystem. And I think that is the biggest leap that is happening, and everybody's trying to figure that leap out, right? So if you were to go and just look back, it is in my head, there are inflection points to this journey. The biggest inflection point to this journey was release of ChatGPT. And the only, maybe there are a lot of powerful things about it, but the most powerful thing about that release was the fact that it let people realize that you can just truly have a natural language conversation with a machine and get right data back that makes sense. Before that, it has never happened. The closest you got to that Google or optimizers Google search, where if you put the right keywords, it did give you logical results. But here you were exposed to something where you could truly talk like you're talking to an assistant, talking to a friend, talking to a counselor, and it could give you answers that made sense. Were they correct? Not always, but it made sense for you in the conversation flow. So that was first inflection point for everyone to see there is a possibility now with machines to truly interact with humans in a context-aware human form. That changed the imagination, which is 22 years back. And today where we are, I think it is a given that all of us as individuals, no matter which role we play in which company, which organization, which function, if you're not leveraging AI in our own individual productivity, we are far behind people, right? You're already behind. So everybody who's using it will go far ahead from you. So that I think individual productivity is given. Now the gap that we're trying to fill for, or where you want to go, is how do I scale that at an enterprise level now where there are multiple applications, multiple processes, multiple entities, trying to now orchestrate something end to end and leverage AI as a connective tissue around it. And that's where I think next frontier we are all trying to go to, right? And that's my thought.
Absolutely. No, you're right. See, my view is this, right? I think we are at an inflection point for sure. AI as a technology and the computing power and the hardware behind it has evolved to a stage where it has to now, we have to adopt it and expand it at scale, right? Now let's take see, if you go back in time and if you look at Six Sigma, for example, it started at Motorola, but hardly anybody knows that, right? It reached its maximum scale at GE. So, Peter Drucker has told that execution can eat strategy for breakfast. So what I'm trying to say is, even though Motorola started Six Sigma, the implementation of it, the adoption of it at scale, and at an organization culture level happened at GE. And GE grew to become what it became, right? So similarly, it is now AI is at everybody's doorstep. Like Deepu was saying, it's a team member, it's a productivity enhancer, it's an extension, it's your assistant. So that's at an individual level. At an organization level, it could be software engineering, it could be business process management. We can implement it and we can drive the efficiencies from it. But it is now at the question of implementation. How fast, as an organization, we are able to implement it in our own organization. How fast we are able to take it to our clients and help them implement it and realize those benefits. And the fastest and the most intelligent adopters will be the people who will benefit maximum from this, in my view. So it's not the question of how to do it. I think by now we've all realized it can be done, and we have seen the benefits for it, both individually at an organization level, but it is now how we make it a part of our culture. Think AI first. So we at Innover, we've always, I think we are ahead of the game last 2 years. We have made significant investments in building AI platforms and other tools which we can also implement ourselves and take it to our clients. So it is now up to us to kind of accelerate that journey and drive our clients towards it. So that's my viewpoint.
See, I'll probably pick up a different dimension of this, right? So the fact that this is truly disruptive is known, right? So everybody here understands that this is here to stay. This is the way things are. And what it does is it changes two things from an execution perspective. Number one is it provides a wherewithal of doing things which earlier was not even plausible, right? So we've all heard about companies running very old systems because, hey, guess what? There's not enough time and initiative in the organization to make the change. You would rather build wrappers on top of it and somehow keep that old core functioning and extend its life for whatever hook and crook. Because the fact that you will rewrite a core legacy code and completely re-engineer it is not even feasible with the way things work. That entire paradigm is completely challenged by the fact that now you don't need an army of people who know a legacy programming language or a stack and the current stack and then figure out a path of migration from the old to new. This combination was not possible because those guys had retired, the new guys didn't want to learn the old technology, and these migrations were kept in cold storage forever because you never had to, and you build things like wrapper layers, API calls, etc. to kind of still make that work. Now for the first time we are at an era where we can take a conscious call that, you know what, yes, this is complex, but I now have the ability to extract business logic from 4 lines of code, really look at making a leaner, meaner, built for scale, built for cloud, built for digital kind of an architecture, and change the way the foundation itself is there, right? This is not about doing things fast. It's about having a completely new tool set in your kitty, right? So this is a very important shift, right? So AI is not just accelerating the standard operating model, it is creating new operating models, right? You don't have to do those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. You can decide that, you know what, there's an 8th step that can be done first by doing this differently. And that is not easy for us to get our mind around. It is a mindset issue. You have to fundamentally challenge what we call as first principles. Redraw the problem statement, and some people who have worked with me keep hearing this from me. Think of your problem statements as workflows, right? Think of your problem statements as value chains, and then figure out that if this is the end outcome and this is my input to that, how do I get to this path and what is the best path? You can completely redraw that chain with what is available today. And maybe Rakesh, you and Naresh being in your role in client-facing solutioning teams, how do you think for a services organization like us, the fact that the client is surrounded by this bubble of AI,
Sure.
what are you seeing, A, how they have started looking at their problem statements, and B, their expectations from partners?
That's a great question, actually. So I think two parts to this discussion, right? One is to say how they're looking at their own problem statement, right? The biggest challenge that we will face, or any services company is going to face, is the fact that the noise has become so loud that it will take really a different thinking to cut through that and put a message out. And what I mean by that is, every client that we speak with, every senior stakeholder that we're talking to, they are inundated by how AI is changing the world, how someone is getting done something in 2 hours versus 1 hour versus 3 hours, and the level of patience that they have is coming down drastically. So now and we went through this shift very quickly, right? Earlier, any modernization, 2 years was a given, nobody really finished. People went from 2 years to 1 month. Now people are thinking, can I do it in 6 weeks, 1 week? So the patience level are coming very small in terms of how they want things to respond, right? Where there is an opportunity for us as Innover is given that we have nothing to lose. What I mean by that is we are not a legacy company that has 100,000 employees that is doing 80% of that are doing AMS projects like some of our large partners who are doing the same thing and they are worried about what happens to the portfolio. We're a young new company which gives us the opportunity to challenge the status quo individually. And we were challenging that for last 6 years. Now with AI, it makes us even more aggressive, right? Just for example, one of the customers that we've been talking to, they've been talking about legacy modernization for such a long time, right? Their first modernization took them 5 years. And when we started the conversation with them, we said, hey, you know what, we can do the assessment in 6 weeks. They're not ready to accept the fact that, but we put that out there that knowing what we know about AI and how capable it is, we will get the assessment done in 6 weeks. And you know what, we did it successfully. And our legacy modernization time frame is 2 years, and the funny thing is the first time customer is asking us, are you comfortable with 2 years? Do you want more time? Are you comfortable with 2 years? And we are comfortable, we can do it in less than 2 years, right? So technology is shifting very fast. It's an opportunity for SIs like us or technology partners like us to take that differentiated approach to our customers, saying that, you know what, everything is changed. You don't have to look at sequential workflow. We can get it done very quickly because we're just changing how we do things. We're not just going to do the same thing efficiently. We're completely changing how we do things, right? And that is where I think the biggest uptake is coming in that conversation, right?
No, absolutely. And again, I would like to touch a little bit on the change management and the cultural aspect, right? So, in the last 3 years, the year before the last, AI, Gen AI, Agentic AI, we all heard about it. Our clients and even our own organizations, we have subsequent year we have been pushed to say, let's implement AI, let's start doing POCs, let's start delivering some value from it. Now it has kind of become a mandate that let's really implement it and start looking at the benefits from it. Now in this mad race to implement, where we can come into the picture is help build an ecosystem around it. The ecosystem of people, process, tools and change management. So the tools part of it is obvious. There are a lot of tools out in the market and we have adopted those tools. We have layered on top of it our own IP and we have built specific accelerators to help our clients implement it. But creating an ecosystem, a center of excellence around it. Who will conceptualize the need? Who will fund it? Who are the people who need to be involved? How are you going to govern this? How are you going to build a standardization across the organization to optimize the cost and reduce technology burden? So the whole 9 years of the process around implementing AI so that it is implemented responsibly, sustainably, and it truly derives long-term sustained benefits instead of short burst benefits from 1 or 2 POCs, right? So that is the stage where somebody like us, as Innover, can help our clients, right? Because as Rakesh was saying, we are not new to solving a client's problem, right? As an organization, we have always hit the ball out of the park when it comes to understanding the client's pebble in the shoe and trying to help them with that, right? So with that ability, with the amount of domain knowledge we bring into the mix and the success we've had in the past with things like RPA where we have built COEs and helped our clients set a whole process to drive improvements, that experience has to be repeated. Only thing now, we will help them in adopting AI at scale, right? So that's the point at which we are in my mind, and that's where we bring maximum value. Otherwise, everybody is going to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I'll touch upon something, Rakesh, that you said, right? So both Naresh and Rakesh, that the fact that everybody is surrounded by the noise, the focus on how you actually execute it is becoming very clear. Right? So the how of it is becoming very clear, or rather is becoming very important. I'll add one more dimension to it, right? It is very clear that we talk about the rate of change and the speed at which value is now delivered through AI. Now, anything which is fast, and I'll take an example, something that we can all relate to, right? If you have a Uno on the roads of Bangalore, they can drive without the helmet. So driving a 1000cc bike, you better have the entire kit up for it. So the faster you go, the more you have to be secure because the cost of failure at that speed is very low. Relating it to our world, the need to having guardrail not as an afterthought, but as what is built into the way we execute is very important, right? When you can build anything quickly, you can very quickly build the wrong thing very quickly, right? The problem for the world today with AI is not that what will happen to coders or what will happen to white collar. The problem is whether we're solving the right problems or not. So growing up in the industry, I still remember in my different roles, in the client planning sessions, the urgent always won. The important was kept on the back burner because you could only spend time and effort for the urgent, right? Now we are in an era where the clients have the responsibility, and all of us actually, to choose the important, not necessarily always the urgent, because guess what? The time to production is now cut. Yeah. So a lot of these things which people were getting away with, oh, I really want to do this, but I cannot because my hands are tied, I don't have budget. Sorry, you don't need budget, right? You just need clarity of thought of what do you want to do. Is it your priority to do this, or are you just pretending to be busy and the joke about carrying people with files moving rapidly in office versus those who actually work? This is going to separate that crowd very easily.
And I think that is where it is very important for all of us in the services world to understand two things. That if you are not willing to change and adopt AI at scale for your own good, you are going to get redundant very soon, whether you like it or not. That's the reality. Now, where is the value of human? Let's take a thing, right? If you look at any project or any engagement that you had with clients in the past, right? Somebody who knew the system, somebody who knew the data, somebody who knew the integration, they were the king. They knew how it flew. They knew how everything was connected. So those guys became very powerful or very important. With AI, the most important people in the ecosystem will be people who understand the process, the business impact, and what outcome we are going to drive. If you know that, then you will have all the tools and technologies to understand everything that is in the ecosystem very quickly without depending on people and being worried about who's telling you what. So for example, I remember still when I was working as a BA for Silicon Valley Bank, there was one DBA and she was like untouchable. You know why? Because she was the only one who knew how the data warehouse structures were there, what is the primary key, what tables are connected to what table, if you change this column, what impact that will have. Because there are no documentation around the entire data warehouse and the ER diagram. And it is very hard to uncover any database diagram, ER diagram, dependency, and you don't know. So she could do anything she wanted and nobody will touch her because she's the only one who knew that. And if there was an issue, everybody is waiting for her time. Okay, can you come and tell us, okay, this failed, so which tables, where should I go and change? Now today she is redundant. I can build agents that can in 2 minutes tell me, less than 2 minutes, seconds tell me how is the database structure created, what are the dependencies, where are the primary keys, what are the data flow. So she is not important. Who is important? Is my analyst or my business SME who is trying to see, okay, what is the issue with the transaction that is impacting my customer and how can I solve it? So what we call in a game or any, what they say, the odds have moved. And now odds have moved into favor of not knowing everything, but knowing what is the business problem that you're trying to solve and what is it that you can change to make it faster, right? And that is the power of technology with AI, and that's what we all are striving for. So the context of the customer, the domain, the problem solving, the ability to see how you can change the outcome, the ability to say what variables are there to change the outcome, those are more powerful than saying, you know what, I'm an expert in SAP, Oracle, IBM, Salesforce, XYZ, and that's the world that we are living in, right? And that's very hard for people in technology to realize because over the last 20 years, these core applications and core data knowledge has what has built the organization, not the business outcome. So I think that's a big shift that is happening, which is very exciting for us, right? For us as a company, as I say again, right? There's nothing for us to lose, but to gain from this technology, given our size, our scale, where we have been for the last 6 years. There's a lot of things that a lot of companies need to be worried about with AI coming in. We all shouldn't be. None of us should be. We should embrace it with every ounce of energy that we have and just go after it and using not only in our productivity, but applying it in everything that you're doing at a personal and professional level and see how it can scale.
Your example about that the person who was very relevant because the individual knew the thing. I think if you really flip that, right? So in an alternate reality, that individual could have become a champion of change.
Correct.
If rather than being happy creating dependency on the individual. That's true for many people in the organization, our organization, any organization, right? We think our value is from doing that one thing that only we know and we will not let anybody else come in. If instead they figure out a fact, that I know this system so well, so I will take the lead in trying to do it in a better way and then move on to something else. Then you become the change agent to drive that across the organization.
Absolutely.
Versus trying to be the last one to get replaced because your job nobody else does. Right? So I think it's essentially, like you rightly said, it's about trying to look at this whole phenomena as being an enabler versus a threat.
Correct.
And Harish, if I can invite you for the whole operations side of business, right? Because we are seeing a lot of our customers getting very excited about what their market is saying, right? So if you look at the All-In podcast or some of these things, they keep talking about the fact that certain industries are really going to be disrupted, especially the process side of industry, because repeatable rules-based work, human intervention will be questioned versus doing it through agentic, etc. But there is a clear case for having strong domain knowledge, etc., and do that with people, but smartly. What is your take on that industry evolving through this, the whole process automation and process engineering industry?
No, the biggest impact of AI adoption will be felt in business process, right? So whatever software you're building, of course, there is an adoption of AI to build faster and better software to lesser effort. But the ultimate adoption of the technology or the tool is for the execution of the business process. And even in the business process, when you especially deploy Agentic AI, it is able to drive a significant amount of benefit. And from a human in the loop standpoint, right? You were talking about that. The human in the loop will still exist, right? You cannot allow the entire AI to take over the process and autonomously process a transaction, right? So because there are industries, there are transactions like payments, or there are transactions like claims. So there are certain regulation around certain business processes in certain industries where the mundane, easy to do part can be replaced by bringing Agentic AI. But the critical decision making can still come to the human in the loop. So the way we are designing, or everybody has to design an Agentic AI which sits on top of the business process, is see where you are doing non-value adding activity, bring in the Agentic AI portion, drive benefits in terms of repeatability and reproducibility, but still have the critical element of human in the loop to oversee the process and make sure the automation does what it is supposed to and the critical decisions are still being taken by the humans. So that is how the adoption is going to happen at scale, and that is the direction in which we have already been working. Right? We don't design any process where we will say that 100% will be replaced. And from the other adoption standpoint, right, we have to cannibalize our own business model. There is no other way. History has taught us that people who don't, for example, Kodak, were the inventors of digital camera. They started with it, but they didn't want to adopt it and sell it because they were happy with their revenues from reel. They perished, right? Others took advantage and they grew. So similarly, we are at that stage where we have to cannibalize our standard industry model of throwing people at problem, building fixed prices and things like that. Rakesh spoke about outcomes. It is about outcomes, business outcomes, and it is about delivering value. And how you do it, we have an immense opportunity to do it in a very efficient way using the technology which is available for us right now. So
we don't have large baggage of teams, so it's not a bigger, we're not moving a very large ship, we're moving a speedboat. So our ability to quickly move is different. But Rakesh, if you can come in, from a partner perspective, what skills or capabilities does that really surface from the people, right? So if I was in a large team with a coordinator, a manager, and etc., large system working, I'll be somewhere here. I could get promoted multiple years till ever meeting the customer.
Correct.
To what is happening now. So what does it mean for the average engineer, or I'm not saying average engineer, an ambitious engineer
Correct.
in today's context?
So 2-3 things, right? If you look at how the industry will start rewarding people, or how the industry shapes up for people in the technology space, right? And let's look at 2 profiles, right? Our traditional industry of technology services has this, I'll call it a technical profile, developer, senior developer, tech lead, architect, right? And there always been a business profile, business analyst, solution analyst, consulting. Those 2 are the key. I'm keeping the PMs and others orchestrated around, but 2 key profiles that existed in technology industry for a long time, right? For me, there is a significant amount of impact that AI brings in the entire technology profile. Because if I look at BA profile, they were always expected to understand the business context. They were always expected to Google search and understand where the customer is, what they are supposed to do, what conversation I have to have, what business. Because that was the forced role. The technology profile was always awarded or rewarded based on how quickly do you deliver lines of code, how many lines of code you are writing, how efficient your lines of codes are, what is the defect that you generate, so on and so forth. But now if you look at the technology, there is no more rewarding based on lines of code. It is about how fast can you deliver an outcome for me. And that is a very big change for technology profile, because traditionally technology profile has always been tuned to sandbagging the timeline. That's how the industry is set. If you go and tell them, hey, how much this will take? They will know it takes 8 hours, they will tell you 16 hours, they will deliver it to you in 22 hours. That's how it's been the tradition of, but now, that's not the question. The question is, if I tell you this problem, somebody who can deliver me in 2 hours or somebody who can deliver me in 10 hours, I'll always pick the guy who delivers 2 hours. Because I know how he can deliver in 2 hours, because there's technology which can give us the confidence that we'll deliver that value. So I think that change at technologist level to ensure that the confidence is there on the outcome, the confidence is there on the timeline, and he or she is equipping himself well to deliver that is critical change. Now coming to the business analyst profile and the BA profile, with this shift, right, I think they need to get acutely aware about what I call as accelerated time to value. This acceleration is the conversation. Anything that you're talking to the customer, it is about, hey, how I can accelerate that outcome for you. Look, if you look at our conversations as Innover in the market, right, for the last 1 year, every business that we have won is not about the fact that we knew something unique that other partners did not know, right? Everybody has thrown the same solution. It's not a hidden secret. Everybody's using AI, everybody's trying to put AI in every conversation. So it would be foolish for me to go and claim that Innover is the only partner in this ecosystem that exists that talks about AI in the world. Everybody talks about AI. Any deck you pick up is AI. But what changes the game for us is our commitment to the time that we can deliver that. Sometimes it is a risk that we take, but always calculated. Sometimes the confidence that we have based on what we have done. But it is not about a story. It is about how soon we think we can deliver that value to the customer. And that is something that we all have to get oriented towards. The entire conversation that we have had so far, it's not unique to Innover, it's not unique to any SI. Everybody is talking about it. But the differentiation is when rubber hits the road, how soon we are willing to commit to the customer to deliver the value. That's it. And that is where the value comes in, at least in my head, and something that all of us have to be grounded upon. And we all have to challenge our own self that if yesterday I was going to do this work and it took me 2 hours, today I better deliver it in 1.5. And day after tomorrow I should deliver it in 1. We should have the same standard for us, right? Because otherwise the world will change around us.
That's the expectation now.
Yes, that has to be.
If I were to come to you in a different dimension that is added to the whole thing, right? So most of the global companies now, or at least the larger ones at least, they have a significant engineering or a capability center presence in India, right? I know you end up traveling quite a bit to the US, but having worked with the engineering counterparts here in India on the client side in their GCCs and also with the stakeholders in the US, for a partner like us, working with this ecosystem of global capability centers or India-based engineering centers, how does that change things, right, in the light of this AI? What have you noticed? Does ideation happen at both places? Does partnership need to evolve from HQ to this place? What is your take in this solutioning conversations you have?
Right. So Anna, I've been a part of setting up GCCs for the last decade, and GCCs initially were set up to essentially drive a lot of cost advantages. From there, they evolved to drive synergies and build COEs and move. It started with shared services and move towards a little bit more value-adding services where they could bring some upstream and more complex processes and drive value apart from cost saving. Now everybody have reached a stagnation, right? And the adoption of AI is extremely important from a GCC standpoint for them to go to the next level, right? And it is the same. GCC at the end of the day is an extension of the business unit, which is onshore, right? It's just happening of the offshore location. So whatever synergies you have to drive, efficiencies you have to drive, you reach the plateau. So they also have to adopt AI at scale and drive efficiencies from it to be able to even sustain the amount of efficiencies they're expected to deliver from an offshore location like India. So they are definitely at the same point as anybody else, and rapid adoption is the only way forward for them.
And the fundamental change, right? A lot of people are talking about AI. I think to me the fundamental change that we all have to be putting our head around it is the biggest change that this technology has brought is the context awareness and getting closer to the ability of human beings in taking decisions. So if you put these two things together, that is the biggest change of AI. I don't know if people appreciate this part of it. So if you look at an RPA solution, UiPath, or technologies we had in the past, it was absolutely fantastic if you could define what needs to be done. It did the work perfectly. But where it failed was exception. So if something does not go in happy path, what should I do? That decision of what should I do is very easy for a human being who's doing this for 15 years. He sees this happens, he knows, okay, I'll do this is what I'll do. Machines don't know this because they are not able to think with the context like human brain. AI has allowed us with this LLM to build. I'm not saying they're close to how human mind operates. Nobody is even close to how human mind operates today. But getting us closer to the operation and decision making of a human mind, because they're able to now take in a lot more variables and respond and process like a human mind does. So that is the whole power of this technology, right? And that has just enabled us to now think of a data analyst, that shadow IT that we have, somebody who was doing financial reporting, FP&A reporting. The purpose of that role was, he knew there are 20 data sets that I need to pull 20 Excel sheets. I knew how this was combined, and I could now create APIs and all that. All that is gone now because technology has now evolved to understand, okay, how the data sets is related, how do I find those interlinks, and how do I process those APIs. Technology is there. So that is what is, I think, changing the fundamental nature of how we operate, right? And that is what everyone has to imagine, that this intelligence is getting very, very rapidly close to human intelligence. While they are far away, human brain is still maybe the most phenomenal thing that has ever happened to mankind. That is the only thing that, at least in my head, separates us from other forms of mankind. Our ability to think and comprehend and context and empathy. Machines are trying to get there. So, and that is where this LLMs powering all the foundation of AI is very exciting, because they're able to now take decisions when things are not very clear. Because before that, machine worked absolutely fine if you have clear instructions. If you don't have clear instructions, it's all exception. Now they're able to manage exceptions and move forward, right? So that is a very fascinating thing that's happening. So it's very exciting. So, and all of us should embrace it with both the arms open, because the only thing it will do is make you a better contributor to the success of not only Innover but your customers, right? And make you learn more and find your own ground, guys.
Open up to the audience.
I think, in the interest of time, we will.
You want to add anything?
I had a question.
Yes.
So to your point, Rakesh, just to unlock my own fear, So do you really think that eventually, so I am sure everybody's going to adopt AI and we are going to be all AI. But don't you think eventually we all will become artificially intelligent? Like we'll be so heavily dependent that how the next generation is going to look like?
Okay, so you're asking now a very philosophical question that whether AI makes truly human beings dumb eventually as we go over the generation, right? Because now we are getting dependent so much on. And I'll take a simple example. My kids in US, they can't write properly. So they don't know what is cursive writing, what is connected. Their writing is pathetic because the need of writing was taken away from the fact that in US entire education is on Chromebook. And I have had multiple conversations with my kids and they have said on my face, why should I learn writing when I am never going to use it as a skill? It's fair to push that question. So that's one skill of writing is gone. So they can't write. Now you're asking if now that was just one change and tomorrow I start adopting AI, will I eventually become redundant as a human being and my intelligence? That's to me a little far-fetched, primarily because I take two things, right? If you look at human evolution, there's a huge aspect of what I call as EQ and IQ. So IQ is where we make our decisions, we are scientifically oriented, we take cognitive decisions, we put variables together and take. But there is an empathetic and human angle to how you take a decision to. Now, every time I'm in the same situation, if entire variable is same in my brain, I may still not respond the same way. There is a reason for that. So to me, there is a huge advantage that human beings still have to technology. The way so this is, at least in my head, the biggest difference. Today, AI cannot predict. So if you were, think of a human context, a very simple human context. If you are trying to make a friend, you're trying to find an next partner. You can ask AI today, hey, what are the best ways to impress? I hope a lot of young people are there, you guys have done it. You should have done it. If I had it before, I would have done it. Because you should have gone ahead and chatted with it, saying that, you know what, I'm going to.
I guess we got rejected on our faces.
Yes, yeah. So I would have gone and done the analysis. Hey, I'm going to, meet someone like this. This is the personality, they live there. What are potential things they will like, how they will like. They can still give you feedback, but how you use the feedback and respond in real life scenario, they're still not there. So to me, AI is still very IQ driven. There is a huge aspect of human decision making, which is empathetic. Sympathy, empathy, and all that comes in. Even in corporate life, when you make decisions, a lot of softer aspects of decision. AI will never get there. So you will still have to drive AI to make better decisions for better outcomes for the company. So as long as human beings can be the one thinking of what are the better outcomes I want to drive, you can leverage AI much faster. AI coming in and telling you what are the better outcomes you can drive in the entire spectrum of business, still far away, right? That's how I see. So I don't think that fear should be there. And we should all, unless you bring technology in your folds, use it, you will never be able to create the next generation of human beings who can truly ride the technology, right? Human beings have been challenged by technology evolution long ago, right? We had internet, we had data centers. Can you imagine the world before mainframes? So mainframes is a legacy. I don't know if all of you in this room understand what mainframe is. So mainframe is the first computing technology that ever evolved in this world in the 70s, right? At scale. So when mainframe came in, a lot of people would have thought, hey, my job is gone, because prior to mainframe, bookkeeping by itself was a big, who took $5, I took $5, you took $2, how do I admit I have $8, I sold this, I sold this ticket to somebody, I just sold this ticket to somebody, so I have 3 tickets left, 4 tickets. It was a huge set of people doing the job, huge population, we don't even appreciate it. It was huge employment. And mainframe came and took away so many jobs you can't imagine. But human beings evolved into next generation and building a lot more jobs on mainframe technologies. More, and if you look at it, the prosperity of human grew. So amount of money people made pre-mainframe doing work, versus when mainframe came and new jobs came, people made more money. They're more richer, so the human society evolved and became more prosperous on basis of new technology that came in supposedly to take away a lot of work from human beings. Same thing, I don't know if you guys appreciate 1999 when internet was launched. You all are born, I think most of us were born in this room where internet was a common thing. Internet took away millions of jobs. Millions and billions of jobs when truly became. But then the generation, human beings evolved to make much more money than what they made in the mainframe world, leveraging internet as the fundamental part of every technology evolution that we have. So that's how I feel. AI is a wave, it comes in, we will evolve, and the next generation will be much more richer and much more wealthier in context of what they can achieve on their own. So I don't think there is fear for it.
But this is actually a philosophical question, right? Because you have pacemakers, you have artificial lenses, and what is human? At what percentage of replacement does the body still remain human? That's a question being asked. Right? Because you can now artificially generate organs, right? You have stents, whatever. These are all devices to keep a person alive. At what percentage of replacement do you say that this person is now more machine and more human? Robocop is real, as they say, right? So this is the question for our generation. It is actually, as I say, event horizon. This pre and post ChatGPT launch is the way the world is going to be remembered, and we'll build on top of that base context. But the thing is, one shouldn't be naive to compete with it. One has to build with it, live with it. So it is not versus, it is with.
That is how it is.
Right? And as long as we make that extremely, it should become like, for example, when you ask somebody in this room, hey, can I do Google Pay to you? You assume that they have a smartphone. No, I still use Nokia 3310. You'll be like, are you like kidding? It's assumed because that's the baseline. So the baseline of human intelligence is human plus any chatbot. Right? That's the base. People expect. Now, if you tell somebody, I don't know what is the time in New York right now, are you kidding? You cannot just type time in NY right now on Google. So the baseline expectation from everybody, clients to vendors, us to each other, is changed. Accept it and build on top of it. Now it is nostalgia. We'll have a few strong ones beyond coffee. We'll talk about those, like we were doing yesterday about PCO. Some old ones yesterday. We're having a conversation. Remember the time we used to go sneak out and call using PCO? There was a job called being an STD operator.
Yeah.
Right?
No, there are a lot of frames of technology that has come, and human civilization to me is way too powerful for any technology to come and change and eliminate. Does it create disruption? Absolutely, but that's how we evolve, right? Otherwise, there is no fun of evolution.
But all technology has improved. There is no technology which has improved.
And it's very hard for you to pick any technology that has pulled us back. So that's how it is, right? Another thing that somewhere I read, you have to start thinking of AI eventually as electricity. And it was very good. So, can you imagine? Electricity today is so pervasive in our life. Standing here in this room, if there was no electricity in our lives, imagine what we are doing, how this world will evolve. And we have assumed it part of everything that we do. So, eventually there will be a world where AI is part of everything that we do. And that's how we'll evolve. That's how next generation evolves. There is no fear. And the faster you embrace it, the better it is for you. Because the more you know something, the less fear you have. Any other questions? Yes.
Shishir, one question. So, if you remember, you had shared a document where it was mentioned 75% of the businesses or the enterprises who are trying to adopt are still not finding the real value of it. So, since the AI is evolving very fast, so from that point till now, what do you think that number would have?
I really don't have the stripes to answer the question at the industry level, but read about this concept called J-curve. I share it with some people in the company, right? So before something becomes really pervasive, there is a loss of productivity, there's a loss of efficiency because you are replacing a known expert mode thing by a new thing. So a lot of companies, if they give up with the initial hurdle, right? Because it is a change. Basically, it's a change management, right? But if you really look at it, all of us right now are super versions of ourselves what we were 2 years back today. If you really think about it, take your workflow from the morning to the end, right? The way you research, the way you probably look for an apartment or a house or whatever it may be, right? You've already moved, right? Changed. So I am expecting that study was done in a point of time. That number will keep getting different, and a lot of this change will happen without you not even realizing it like electricity. You will not realize where the thing will just change around you. I don't know today when I engage with a bank how much of my interaction is agent driven or human driven. I don't know, right? Earlier I could figure out that I have an RM. I don't know if my RM, his name is Babulal Jairam, I remember his name. He sends me email. Does he send me an email? Or it is, based on my account balance, this thing happens, etc. kind of thing. So I think that number will constantly keep changing, but there is a J curve. People will figure it out. But I'm pretty sure it's not a struggle anymore.
Yeah.
There will be a phase when you have to do the old thing plus adapt to the
Exactly.
new. That is the phase where you will have a loss of productivity. But as you let go of the old and latch on to the new, the productivity will be exponential.
And at an enterprise level, that is not by the fear of whether new is successful. That is more of a change management. Why we want to run two things together? Because imagine, like DP was asking, nobody wants to give up their role. Nobody wants to change. If you look at human beings, maybe we are the most lazy species that ever existed of an animal. If we go back to evolution, we are maybe the laziest animal that ever existed. Maybe sloth is more lazy, who knows? I would give it that. But we don't want change. We like inertia is a big thing, right? So a lot of these numbers of those failed is not because of the promise or the technology itself was not ready. It is how at an enterprise level when you try to make a change, there's so many levels of human inertia you have to come up with. For example, just take a simple invoice payment process. Today, technology is there to just do it end-to-end without human being there. But there are so many regulatory, human change management that needs to be taken care of that you can't put technology full-fledged to take end-to-end. Human beings are still there. They will still push for a change. So that is more a reflection of how change management is harder at enterprise level than it is at individual level. So that's why the whole thing is individual level adoption of AI is significantly high. Everybody has put it. The last research that I was reading is all of us now have at least two AI agents that are running on our desktop. So depending on what role you play, you may have a Claude and ChatGPT paid version, you may have a Perplexity plus a Cursor version, you may have a Cursor plus some other thing. So all of us are reaching average of 2 agents helping us do our jobs. But at an individual level, at an org level and an enterprise level, there's still a lot of change management that needs to be done. It's not a reflection of technology or its capability, just how the change will evolve, right? So that's where.
So, is there any instance, any instance where our proposal has been challenged by the client end with respect to the AI?
Challenge in the sense, give me a sense of it.
The challenge is, say, we are giving an estimation.
Correct.
That.
Yeah.
Have they challenged us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have multiple instances where customers have come back and challenge us saying, are you using AI in your estimates? And we have to go back and prove it back to them. Like our recent, so legacy modernization, big large legacy modernization engagement, right? We had to go and show them what it will be with AI that we are asking and what it is without AI. And when we showed them what it is without AI, their first reaction was, oh, you have just added days to show that with AI you are less. So we had to actually show them why it takes 2 days to do a certain task without AI and why I can get it done in 4 hours, right? So there is a lot of, and that is fundamental to change management, right, Satya? Because we are going and sitting with architects who are used to doing certain things certain way. They think that if you are writing an API and now you have to write the entire API 5 times for 5 different data sources, you will take 2 hours per API and you will do it in 10 hours. With AI, that's not the case. Once you define the API and you're just changing the data structure and connections, you can maybe do that whole 10 API definition in maybe 1 hour, right? But customers don't, some understand it, some don't understand it, something that we are either aggressive or something we are conservative. So that conversation is constant and we have to have the conversation, and that is a good thing that you asked, right? All of us here at every level when we are interacting with the customer should have the voice to tell them how are they going to use AI or why are they not using AI. Because I am doing this standard development, you have given me this development kit, I am doing this code modernization, why I don't have access to Cursor? Why have you not enabled any AI agents for me to use? Let them, and that challenge you should always put up. But yes, there's a lot of questions that get asked to us as to how we are using AI and giving them productivity, and we have to always justify that. Right? A very strong conviction around the numbers. Go ahead.
So we have multiple clients and multiple projects that we are working on. But is there any common repository where multiple projects can use an agent? They don't have to recode, reusable agent.
Amazing point. Thank you for asking. So with our innovation team, we are trying to build what I call as the entire coding platform for Innover that we can leverage for projects where we have the flexibility. One of our big legacy modernization project that we are starting out in March is the fundamental foundation for it because we have scale. So innovation team and the project team are working together to build that foundation on Cursor, Cursor, I think, is the primary that we are going to leverage. Claude is there to assist on certain aspects. So it's a combination of Cursor and Claude-based agents that we are enabling. And we are hoping that becomes a template or foundation that other projects can leverage. Right? Wherever we have flexibility. Remember, there are a lot of times when you will be challenged or asked to do it in a customer environment where we can't use our own frameworks, we can't get the code out. So it depends, but we are doing that. Right? We already have it. We already have a QA agent that we can deploy on other internal projects. So yes, reusability is a big aspect of how we are thinking of building these capabilities internally. Go ahead.
So another question I have is, we know we are talking everyone is using AI, but I see practically not many of them are using AI.
Okay.
So we have to enforce use AI every day. That's one of our tasks in the project. With that also, like, the people are not using AI much, they are still working traditionally. So what is the measure that we can take so that each role uses AI without fail? And
Industry will take the measure.
Right.
Industry will take the measure.
Sorry?
Industry will take the measure. See, it's like this, right? You plan a picnic with 5 friends and you say, yeah, let's meet at Kamal Park. You assume they'll either take the metro or a vehicle. You don't expect someone to walk, right? If they walk and miss the picnic, it's their problem. That's what's happening.
No,
We are all assuming
the
everyone
project
will
is
have a
separate.
measure. The base assumption is that you're using it. You not using it is automatic. So if you're not using it, to be exposed very quickly. Every simple timeline will be challenged, there will be friction, one will figure it out. That's what I'm saying. Electricity is the best example. How can you crib about there not being enough light but not use electricity? That's where we are with this.
I think also, I think her question was more, people don't see the actual benefit. So there is a...
No, they still work with traditional.
So I think we'll have to make an effort to make sure that they're using it in the right way. So one is having the tool, the other one is knowing how to use it in the right way.
And when to use it and how
When
to
to use it, how to use it.
Use what?
Because we all as humans know, once we see benefit of using something, we will not let go of it.
Yes.
So I think people who refuse to adopt to change or yet to use it fully are those who haven't used it the right way and haven't seen the right benefits. I think we as leaders, managers, that becomes important for us to make sure that they're trained properly, we have given them the right orientation and they're using it in the right way. So guidance and channelizing them in the right
Some
direction.
sessions for VAs.
We will have to do that. Yeah.
Prompt them with the prompting.
Prompt them to learn the right prompt.
But I think I would always challenge you all to also think it's a very simple measure, right? Any activity that takes time, that we have 10 things to do in a day. And there are 5 things that you think, I have to do this, also will take a lot of time. Those activities you think, it takes a lot of time, try and use AI and see if it helps you. That's how my measure was something that I get worried about, some searches that I know don't give me, some reports that I need to read, some summaries that I need. It is phenomenal. It is just amazing how much time it saves for you, right? I'll give you a simple example. All the analyst reports, right? I tend to read them. So imagine analyst report, Gartner has a 20-page report, then ISG has a 15-page report, somebody has a 30-page report. If I have to logically go and read 3 reports and make my own conclusion and understand them and make my own, what is the purpose of the report? I'm reading those reports to understand some stats, understand some key highlights, make my own opinion, because I talk to a lot of customers, have some interesting point of view to throw at them, so I can make the conversation interesting. That's the purpose of why I'm reading those 30 or 3 reports, right? Now one report is 20 page, 15 page, 30 page. They're all similar areas, AI, data pipeline, legacy modernization. It generally used to take me 3-4 hours of planned time in the afternoon to kind of put it out, so I can read one, understand, okay, then I read 2, understand and contrast it, make my own point of view. Because it's not an exam. I'm not trying to read and remember everything and then I have to blatter it that way. I'm trying to read it, I'm trying to synthesize, I'm trying to contrast, I'm trying to put few stories and points in my mind that I'm going to use. Now that whole 4-hour exercise of going through 3 reports, contrasting them, taking my notes, with now my version that I use, I do a lot of paid version of ChatGPT because that's the best for me. I don't do a lot of programming, so I don't use Cursor that much. Within 20 minutes, it is answering, it has read all the 3 reports, it has contrasted all the 3 reports, it is debating. Now I can spar with him. So, okay, why did this report say this? Why this report? What's your opinion? What does it mean? And now within 15 minutes, I have solid point of view created. It is not telling me a point of view because it has summary. It can throw the summary. It is not intelligent. That point of view that I want is for my personality, my usage, for my purpose, right? That is how you have to think about every objective that you have where you take time. Is going to use it. And once you start engaging with it, it's very powerful. You will save a lot of time. I hope all of you are at least using it for your formal email, right? Just copy paste at the least. That's the least you can do. Yeah. For it. Anybody who thinks English is their second language, all of us, second language is English. Use it. And we use it without shame. Just copy paste it properly. Just be careful when you do that. I've seen people not even outside of you can take care of that.
This response has been generated
by just a little careful around that. Rest I think is.
When I joined my first job, I joined Indian Aluminum, and my first job they gave me was to sell an old furnace. So all I had to do is for 3 months is to write letter to many companies saying this is the furnace and what can you buy it. All I did for 3 months was write letters. And so they wrote the same letter in different languages. We could never sell the furnace.
Yeah. Right. And it is very, so think of it as a knowledge. First thing I'll tell you is think of it as a knowledge assistant to all for your role. Amazing knowledge. So if you're in pre-sales, you're in marketing, you're in development, you are architect, whosoever you are, if you have the excitement to make yourself better, use that as a knowledge assistant, right?
That's how. The stat says that India is the largest consumer of AI.
Yeah.
Be it in
Yeah.
And you have a point, because I believe Indians are great at using free resources. Even if it's like reading 100 pages, we are great at it because it's free. I think we are doing great. So yeah.
Good, but we're making memes out of it.
Yeah, that's how.
We're using it for making
Sometimes
memes.
the volume is a sheer reflection of the size that India has. So that I think is another parameter. So
is the largest selling biscuit.
So statistics and numbers, be very careful of what you read, right? 60% failure, we are the largest. I would still challenge that, yes, we are the largest users of maybe the most of the technology because of the sheer number of our size. But are we the most efficient users of it? Are we truly pushing the boundaries of it? That is a question we have to ask, right? And I think very recent AI summit that happened, I think we have to truly claim, and that's what is the change in GCC also, right? The model cannot be we are just a low cost, high scale center that can help you deliver value. No. We have to be the transformation center for a lot of these companies. And truly the companies that have made most out of India as a center and knowledge are the companies who are truly using India for innovation and thinking ahead. And that's how we have to think, right? If you're the largest user, then we should be the highest impact creators. We should drive that value, right? That's, I think, the key for us.
One last one. There's a lot of discussion around AI ethics. How do you, as leaders, see that getting ingrained into an individual's work life and also as an organization?
Very interesting question. So there is the organization view of it, there is the individual view of it, right? I'll give you the org view. So ethics, governance, compliance is a very critical thing at an organization or an enterprise level when you deploy. And I think you should touch upon the guardrails early on, right? So for every organization context, the ability to define that guardrails, define that boundaries, define that checks and balances with AI is very, very important. Whether it's biased, unbiased, what kind of decisions have been made. And that's where if you look at it, a lot of processes that are sensitive to that decision, that kind of biases. You have AI delivering the process, you have AI checking the process, and then human in the loop. So there's a layer of AI auditing the AI-based process already, which is trained on the guardrails and ethical decision, right? So that's very, very critical. And every engagement that we are doing, we are trying to put it as part of our implementation roadmap as to what are the guardrails we are going to define, what are the boundaries we are going to define, what are the governance we are going to define, what are the audit trail we are going to define to ensure everything that we've done is traceable and making-based, right? So we'll have to keep thinking about that as we implement. The platforms on which you are deploying these solutions are also built for that, right? If you're deploying on Azure, if you're deploying on AWS, if you're deploying on GCP, you're doing on-prem, you can build those, you can leverage those platforms to build those guardrails. Very important.
From our perspective, at our organization level, we have completely reframed our master services agreements, our statements of work, which specifically calls out how we handle the customer's data, how we ensure that the data that they share with us in confidence to do a particular process is not used for training a model.
Yeah.
For instance, because look at it this way, India overall, or any place which has got large engineering base, right, they have access to a lot of customer content, but it is not meant for you to train a model and gain an advantage around it, right? Those things we are building in through the platform itself. So we are at our size. If you want to do some research, you'll figure it out, maybe speak to the IT team. We have deployed some phenomenal endpoint security and cloud security measures which ensure that there is no leakage both of data unintentionally, right? Because we're dealing with it, and also within your context of the engagement, it has to be used properly. So that's on trying to make sure that we do right by our clients, right? Contractually, there's a huge liability clause, and that's why if you see some of us getting paranoid about is there PI data on your system, have you purged the data? It's for a reason, because the customers have trusted us with data and we need to do right by it. And with AI, we can do more damage, because if you start running models or you start putting copy paste customer data on a chatbot and ask questions, and you cannot control the context, it is used for training the model at the back end. You just expose the confidential information. So first of all, training of people to know how to use it properly, guarding and locking down your systems so that it's not possible electronically, and then consequences also, unfortunately, because you have to create consequences and make examples of. So that's a very important part. The other side of it is, from an ethics standpoint, we have to also understand that unfair advantages without openly saying so have to be very clearly called out. You cannot bring a Ferrari to a bullock cart race and without telling the other party. Kind of thing, right? So what does that mean is, a lot of people are getting excited about using AI in a lot of human processing. Right? So maybe, for example, a company is under lawsuit right now because they used, quote unquote, a very important underwriting AI system to deny claims of health insurance without really understanding what that claim was for. Because guess what? The scoring system was using AI intuitively without really understanding that that unique case was different. The person who needed the help did not file the claim, the son filed the claim, whatever it may be, right? So you cannot give the controls to AI and absolve yourself of the accountability of the function. So there, just because you have the power doesn't mean that you give the keys to the kingdom to the power. You have to have governance, human in the loop. Liability clauses are becoming very important. So I think this is an area of constant, I would say, research and attention from leadership and governments.
Yeah,
both.
That is the key part, right? Government, leadership, enterprise, everybody needs to come together. If eventually AI needs to be getting deployed at scale across all the functions, regulations at a government enterprise level needs to come in and impact what decisions can or cannot be made. See, because inherently biases exist in the data. So that's the fundamental issue. So the fundamental issue of the world that we exist in, all the data that currently exists in the world that AI and LLMs have trained on already have biases. Human brain already has biases. Even today, without AI, human brain makes decisions based on biases. That's the reality of the world. What controls it is the regulation and regulatory body around it. So for example, there is a concept of insider trading. Why was the concept of insider trading created? It was created to say that, hey, you know what, since I have a friend and I like Shishir, I cannot tell Shishir what is going on and Shishir should make money out of it, right? But now that's a very crude example, but there is insider trading law that is now stopping me in doing that. So it is stopping me to do something which I am worried about. Now, if you look at machines, they don't know, they don't understand, right? So they will make decision based on what they think is the pattern and the data, what makes sense. But that data is already biased. So unless you start putting hard rules, hard governance, hard laws, and I think even the Anthropic founder and Sam Altman, they have talked about it, right? Government needs to. Governments have to step in to define regulatory bodies around it. If it truly has to go to that way.
But it will be a continuously evolving process.
Absolutely.
We'll find gaping holes and then plug them.
Yes, that is what it is.
I think everyone here today got a good amount of AI intelligence or
human
intelligence, understanding of AI and how it's shaping up our world. Thank you to our leaders who took time out and shared their thoughts. Very insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.